Your 20-year-old daycare business is in need of a new playground for the kids. The old playground equipment doesn't meet new safety standards and is beginning to show significant wear that a can of paint won't fix. Knowing you need to replace it soon, you decide to begin by determining how much the new playground will cost. To do this, you use project cost management planning and estimating. Project cost management refers to activities used to estimate, monitor, and control costs of a project. Estimating is done to determine, as accurately as necessary, the cost of a project. It's generally in the estimating process that an organization determines whether a project is fiscally feasible. In short, estimating costs will drive the decision to spend the money on a project. Project cost estimating is twofold. First, an estimation is done to determine costs. Then, cost planning is done to create a budget and determine cost guidance. Let's take a closer look at the differences between cost estimating and cost planning. As we've already stated, cost estimating involves activities to determine the cost of an initiative or project. The accuracy of the estimate can vary, depending on the need and the type of estimate done. Generally, at the preliminary stages of a project, rough estimates are provided. Many times, a rough estimate is referred to as a ballpark figure and just provides a starting point to determine project costs. As the project is more defined and the requirements are better known, the accuracy of the cost estimate increases. Better project information allows the estimator to take previously unknown factors into consideration when determining project cost. Many times, before a budget is approved, a detailed work breakdown with associated costs is done to provide a very accurate cost estimate. Cost estimate accuracy is shown by the variance in the estimate. Variance is how much the cost estimate could change, depending on future requirements, constraints, and limitations of the project. For example, ballpark figures often have a variance of minus 25% to plus 75%. This means an estimate of $1,000 could actually cost from $750 to $1,750. There's no requirement to step through project cost estimating from rough to final estimates. Some projects will only require a rough estimate before being approved, while other projects will require much more accurate and detailed estimates. Depending on the final need, an estimator may not do any rough estimates and may skip right to a detailed estimate. For the daycare, you must replace the playground equipment, so you begin with a detailed project cost estimate. In gathering the cost information, you begin by gathering the cost of playground equipment and any required permits. Next, working with a contractor, you break down the tasks that'll need to be done to complete the project. With each task, you provide an estimate of labor hours needed, which provides a cost estimate for each task. Adding up the materials, permits, and labor to complete the new playground, you determine the project should cost $12,345 to complete. You add a variance of minus 5% to plus 10% and determine that your final estimate will be between $11,272 and $13,579. After a cost estimate is completed, a cost plan is needed to provide guidelines for the project. Cost planning determines how costs are controlled, where money is allocated, from which funds costs are paid, cost reporting, and cost thresholds for the project. In short, the cost management plan helps the project manager ensure the project is completed within the estimated budget. A cost management plan also includes a cost baseline, which is particularly helpful to the project manager in ensuring costs are managed properly. The cost baseline is essentially a budget, but is time-phased to indicate when in the project life cycle the money will be spent. This is key information in a project with large upfront costs, such as in buying materials or equipment. Because the project costs aren't spent evenly across the project timeline, a cost baseline lets the project manager know that the costs are on track, even though it may seem an overly large percentage has been allocated early in the project. For your playground project, you create a cost management plan to ensure your tight budget is well managed. This plan contains the detailed work plan done in the previous estimating step, along with a list of all the materials and permits and associated costs for each. You create a cost baseline showing how much of the budget will be spent per week during the 4-week project lifecycle. The cost baseline shows that you will spend 50% of your budget within the first week of the project to purchase playground equipment. Your project cost management plan also shows from which business account you'll pay project costs. Because you're purchasing new playground equipment, this is considered a capital improvement cost and will provide a tax break. Therefore, the equipment is purchased from the capital improvement business funds, while the labor and permits for the project work are paid from the general funds. Lastly, Your project cost planning for the playground project includes cost thresholds for your project, which guide you and the contractor in spending money. You've given the contractor a threshold of 8 hours on labor, above which he must gain your permission. In this way, you can control labor costs. The costs of the permits don't need thresholds, as they are fixed prices. However, the cost of the playground equipment may differ, so you've given a cost threshold of 5% on that. In doing so, you can ensure you remain within your estimated variance and keep the project on budget. Project cost management refers to activities used to estimate, monitor, and control costs of a project. The first activity, cost estimate, is twofold and includes cost estimating and cost planning. Cost estimating involves activities to determine the cost of an initiative or project. Cost estimates vary in accuracy, which is indicated by the estimate's variance. Cost planning provides project cost guidelines, including cost baseline, allocation guidance, cost reporting, and cost thresholds.